Hi, I'm Michael Foguth. I'm very excited to bring you our video series called Foguth Finds. This series is our way of giving back and supporting and promoting top-notch companies and organizations that bring a tremendous value to our community. If you would like to see a company or an organization featured on Foguth Finds, let us know. Let us know how they impacted you in a positive way, and we can reach out to them and schedule them to be on our next Foguth Finds. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello everyone, thanks again for tuning in. Another great episode here today on Foguth Finds. Today, we're at the Warbirds of Glory Museum, and we got my good friend Patrick waiting inside for us. So come on in and let's take a peek at what we have going on here today. Patrick, how are you, sir?
Very good, Michael. Welcome to the home of the Warbirds of Glory Museum.
Well, thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Come on in.
Thank you.
So our museum basically is based around a B-25 known as Sandbar Mitchell. So we recovered this airplane from Fairbanks, Alaska in June of 2013. She crashed up there June 27th, actually, 1969.
So did it sit there the whole time?
It did for 44 years.
Wow.
Being picked over by scavengers, vandals, shooting at the airplane. So when we went out there, it was a big project because a lot of the aircraft was actually scavenged already. But we knew with the parts that I acquired when I was in my teens, that with those parts and the parts that were left up there, we could actually assemble one flying B-25.
That's amazing.
Hey Mike, they're coming up slowly. Okay, she's up. Take her away.
Sambhar Mitchell, before she was a fire bomber, she was a TB-25, which stand for, it was basically a bomber trainer that served in 3 different bases here in the U.S., and that's what she actually looked like.
All right, so here we are. This is let's call this the vision board, right? This is what we're going for. Tell us a little bit more about this.
This B-25 saw combat over Italy. It was shot down. All the crew member bailed out. Sadly, 3 of the crew were captured and executed by the Gestapo. So our airplane, when it was a fire bomber, flew with 8 Zulu on the tail. And we wanted to keep the 8Z on the tail to honor it as a fire bomber and to honor the men that flew it as a fire bomber. And then doing the research, we found out that the 340th Bomb Group, the 488th Squadron, flew a B-25 with 8Z on the tail. So that's how we came up with the scheme of this airplane. But when the airplane's fully restored into this color, the goal is to be able to fly it around the country to honor our veterans and to honor this crew.
A plane that age, probably not just going down to a local auto parts store and picking it up, right?
No. So everything on the airplane, a lot of it we have to manufacture from scratch. This is one of our newest pieces of equipment, is our Tormac CNC mill. Now this machine was just donated. This machine, what we allows us to do is the students to actually take our original drawings for the B-25. We got about 90,000 drawings. And we go through and we actually convert them to CAD to make the parts. Well, the problem is these drawings show how to make the parts. They don't show how to make the tooling. So we have to actually go ahead, reverse engineer everything off these parts, and then we use this machine with our other CNC machines to manufacture the stuff. So Mike, I'd like to introduce you to Todd. Todd is my lifelong friend and the director of the Kittyhawk Academy. So Todd has been working very hard on putting together our youth program for the students with the toolmanship, and he's worked diligently putting this manual together to teach these kids all about the different forms of tools. And one of the things that we do is we let the kids build their own toolbox. So once they go through the basic program, they start learning sheet metal, which is a step to going into working on the mentorship restoration on the B-25. So what Zelly is actually working on here is building her toolbox. So what we do is with these students is they get basically a kit. These kits are actually put together by our other students. So when it's all said and done, Zelly will end up with this nice little toolbox that she'll get to keep. So up here is our other CNC router. So this is what we actually use to cut a lot of our B-25 flat parts. So we go ahead, we cut out our flat panel. This is our bead blast cabinet. So the students learn about the process, what it takes to take it apart, cleaning it, inspecting it.
You can't use a piece that has paint because it can't be inspected, is that correct?
It can't. So we strip, so what we'll do is we'll strip all the original paint off the airplane, and then those parts then get inspected, and once we know they're airworthy, then they'll go ahead and get prepped, repainted before being put back on the part. We have over 90-some thousand drawings, and we put the drawings up on our TV screens, and then the kids can go ahead and take that drawing and they convert it into the CAD model.
So will you typically take that, put it in a CAD format, and then run downstairs and make it?
Yeah, so this is the original part from Sandbar Mitchell that was damaged in the crash. This is our brand new piece that we've gone through and manufactured that is
So
ready.
this is what you pulled from Alaska?
Yep, from Alaska.
Right off the original.
Right off the original.
Obviously, it's not going to pass inspection.
Nope.
So we start with this.
Yep, so from the CAD model, we go ahead and generate which is called a G-code, and the G-code is what the machine runs on to create the part. So the first thing the students do is we go through and we actually cut it out on this MDF board. Now by doing so, it allows us to be able to check it against the original part. Now a piece of this MDF sheet is about 20 bucks for a 4x8 sheet, where a piece of aluminum for a 4x8 sheet is nearly 500. This piece alone has about 3 days of work into it. It takes roughly probably 30 to 40 seconds to drill a rivet. So the center section alone, you're talking close to probably over 250 to 300,000 rivets. So it took us about 6 months, and that was working about 4 hours an evening to take this all apart. So this is kind of our pride and joy, which is our glass nose for the B-25. Now the original glass nose from Sandbar Mitchell was actually scavenged, and there was not much of it left. And I heard about this nose down in Florida. It was in storage, and I was able to make a deal with the owner to basically do a loan to buy. Now, it was in pretty disarray from sitting for the years that it did. So when we got it, we completely took it completely apart, and we had to go through, replace some of the skin panels, the flooring's new, and we went through and completely restored this to airworthy condition. So this is ready to go and fly on our B-25. Would you like to go inside it?
I'd love to sit inside
Cool,
there.
let's get you in there.
Wow. This is amazing.
Now, one of the things that we're trying to do with this B-25 is not only restore it to flying condition, but we want to restore this to one of the most authentic B-25s flying today to make it just the way it was when it left the factory. And so a lot of research has gone into over 6 months actually researching the paint to get the paint mixed correctly. We went through so many different paint companies to get the correct paint.
So they would just sit here and just right here, just
Yep.
let it fly.
Yep. But the most amazing part is this, you look at the work that was done in this, it just goes to show you what our students are capable of that come out of here. And the skills that these students are learning here at the museum are lifelong skills that will follow them through their life and through their careers.
Well, I'm just sitting here. It looks like it just rolled off the line, like, you know, back when they were building them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, pretty impressive. And how much would you say work is done via students compared to either yourself or some of the other volunteers?
It's about 50-50.
Okay.
A lot of our volunteers here, they work one-on-one with the students. So when it comes to making a part, the students are making the part, and the volunteers are basically just there to help guide them.
Guide them.
Same thing when they're working alongside me.
There's a button on here that says bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. We're
That's
dropping.
it. Well, the actual dropping one's gonna be down there on the floor. You'll see it's a little
button,
yep,
clicker button?
and that is what would actually drop the bombs.
Now, how many rounds would sit in here?
The whole 9 yards.
The whole thing, right? It was front to back, and
Yep. So the three boxes on top are for the flexible machine gun, which is the one that was operated by the
here.
bombardier.
Okay.
And then sitting under your seat here, there's another ammo box.
I was gonna say, I
and
feel
that
like
would feed the single 50 caliber on the
this
side.
right here.
And that was operated actually by the pilot.
okay.
Now on the later J models, they actually added a second 50 caliber machine gun underneath that one. So you had 3 in the nose,
Double.
and then there was actually 4 more on the side of the fuselage facing forward.
That's truly amazing. Do some damage up here.
Oh yeah. The big thing that I tell everybody that's sitting here, you gotta think, you know, being 18 years old, sitting up on this in combat, and the only thing surrounding you is plexiglass and 30-some thousandths aluminum sheet. You had really no protection.
No.
And a burst of flak would really do some damage to this aircraft.
Wow.
One of the things I did not mention yet is we actually went to Italy and worked with a history organization over there, and we actually visited the crash site of the real 8Z that was shot down in combat. And through the connections we made over there, we met a gentleman who was 101 who actually saw the B-25 get shot down during combat, went there, recovered a majority of the aircraft, and was using the parts around his farm. Now the crew of 6 did bail out, and sadly 3 of them, well, they were all captured, but 3 of them were executed because they had over 41 missions.
Wow.
And I've been very blessed that Todd, our dear friend, and actually my business partner in the museum, has basically given up his hangar here at the Brighton Airport to allow us to have this. But the problem is because we're in a residential hangar, we can't be public. We can't get the public support that's necessary to move us out of here. And the ultimate goal is to move over to the Livingston County Airport, which is on M59 there by Grand River, and build this facility, which will be the home to the Warbirds of Glory Museum, as well as our Kittyhawk Academy youth program. So we need to raise close to $2 million to make this an actual reality. And that's not only going to build the building, but that's going to give us an endowment fund to allow the museum to continue to operate and continue to mentor kids. The kids that have come through this program, it has changed their lives. And a lot of the students that have come through, they've gone off to college now, gone to Western, either for aviation maintenance, aeronautical engineering, flight science, aviation management. Some of the kids have chosen to go into the armed services, and then we have some of the kids that don't really have the interest in aviation. They have the interest in the technical knowledge, so they come, they learn CAD, we teach them CAD, we teach them, you know, the basic toolmanship stuff, and then they go off to do a trade job.
Okay. And they're getting the hands-on experience,
It's
right?
getting the hands-on experience.
You can't learn this stuff in textbooks. Yeah. Would you have a ballpark? When do you think that we're going to see? I mean, with funding, I know that's kind of somebody I could write you a check tomorrow, right? And be, yeah, we can go a lot faster. But what's kind of the goal of?
If we had basically an endowment with all the money up front to do it, we could probably have it flying in 10 to 15 years.
The B-25 restoration is continuing to make tremendous progress, and we're working on the heart of the airplane right now, which we call the center section. So we're working on the spars, and we have recently acquired some additional missing parts, such as seats and control yokes, and we're continuing to restore those as well. As for the Kittyhawk Academy, our toolmanship program has two interesting features that your listeners may want to hear about. One of them is they earn points for all the lessons and volunteering they do, and in turn they can turn those points in and get tools, either new tools or used tools. And for many of our students, this is the very first tools that they have ever owned. And many of us mechanics can remember our first tools that we received. And the other thing is the scholarships. One of the things we're doing at the fundraising event is raising scholarships. There are some economically disadvantaged families in our county, in our area, and we don't want to say that this is just a rich person's training activity. Sure. So we want to make it available to everybody of all economic classes. So it's $1,000 per semester tuition, but what we would like to do is start getting foundations, corporations, and individuals to start donating scholarship grants so that we can allow some students to come in that can't afford the normal tuition rate.
And it's all private. You're not picking up any grants or any public fund, or I mean private funding.
We are still, we have been applying for grants.
Okay.
But we haven't been selected yet for one, but we're trying. And we're slowly building our fundraising base and getting it to the point where we hopefully can get the funding that's necessary to keep this museum alive. Okay, so we'll fly it all around the country. Now here's going to be the really exciting thing. Who's going to be able to fly it? Who's going to fly it? Actually, some of our students are actually in school right now to get their basically bachelor's in flight science to become a commercial rated pilot. Now once they have their commercial rating and their multi-engine, they can actually get type rated in the B-25 and eventually can come back and actually fly our B-25. So that's the vision. The students who worked on building it will continue their education, come back, and the goal would be for them to fly it around the country. Wow, that's phenomenal. Well, I wish you the best of luck. That's exciting. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for having us. Thank you for coming. Learned a lot today. We look forward to seeing you guys continue to grow and get this thing up in the air. Sounds great. Thank you so much.